Greetings, it's Vaygrim. Welcome to another episode of Mod Guide. I've been working on this one for the better part of 2 weeks, on and off, figuring out parts of the mod, talking to the mod author, getting the mod author to iron some bumps out and things. This mod, RFTools by McJty, is really amazing. And RFTools really has some great stuff in it. And I'm going to start off with some of the ordinary and progress into the more difficult and weird. And one of the things, okay, first of all, premise of this mod guide is that you have NEI, and you can look stuff up in NEI. I'm going to assume you have either NEI or not enough items, or too many items, or craft guide, or something to look up all the recipes for this so you can actually figure out how to make all of these. Now, this is just to show you, this is the crafting. This is the crafting machine right here, okay? Their auto crafter from RFTools. The auto crafter itself is not that complex. You have a machine frame, which is just lapis, iron, and gold. Not real elaborate. The machine frame is used as the basis for almost all of the machines. And I'll just give you a preview. There's a lot of stuff in this mod. So, the machine recipes aren't that elaborate, aren't that expensive. The auto crafter has 3 different tiers: tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. Each one requires a certain amount of power to function. I'm actually going to grab that. And does this have power already? It does. Yay. Okay. So I actually don't need that. Pardon all the clutter up here. That was prep and setup. So I have an infinite barrel full of cobblestone. This has got the infinite upgrade. It's a Java barrel. It's cool. I like it. And it is set to pump cobblestone in here into the crafter. Okay? The crafter will accept stuff into here, and if you pull out, you can only pull out by what shows up in here. You have a little power meter. Every function takes a certain amount of power. And there's redstone controls for it, of course, and speed mode, slow or fast. Well, I think slow really probably should be used if you're doing elaborate multi-step process crafting on stuff, and you're doing it on a server, just to be friendly to the rest of your server mates. You probably want to use slow. But I'm going to show you fast. So the first thing I'm actually going to do is, let's see, I'm going to make a hole. This thing is set active with a signal. I'm going to do active without a signal. Let's fill that hole back up. So this is very, very quickly. Tell you what we need to do. I need a lever. Let's put that right there. Oh, that's a lot of cobble. I'm also going to take the upgrades out because the upgrades are nonsensical. I don't even need them. Okay, we have a lot of cobble to work with, so what I'm going to do, first things first, I'm going to left click up here. You notice the crafting grid highlights? I get buttons and things. Well, what I'm going to do is just do this. Okay? You'll notice it says compressed cobble. Now, there's this button right here. Let's turn this off. Int will put a result of crafting, of the result of the crafting operation in the inventory instead of the output buffer. See, internal or external. This is the output buffer, external. This is internal, the input, the inventory. I want to keep it in inventory, and I'm going to hit apply. Zing! Now what I'm going to do is go down here, compress cobble. You know the drill. Let's put that there. And I'm going to internal, apply, double compressed. We're going to go one step down. You see where this is going. Apply. Oh, actually, no. I want to do internal. Please, let's... Thank you. Put that back there. And this one, I'm going to get all triple. These are ghost images. It's not actually using one of the things. Internal. Apply. That's making quadruple. You see the whole prospect, okay? So now, what I can actually do is if I hit the lever, this is going to start pumping cobble in. It's going to start auto-crafting every single step in turn as it gets ingredients. That's where I had those item conduit speed upgrades. Silly me. 1, 2, 3, 4. That should be enough. So now, if we look at this, we're piping chunks of cobble in. We've got some triples. I don't think we have a quadruple yet. And as soon as we get a quadruple, is it? Whoopsie, that got rid of it. Hang on a sec. Let's do insert. And put all of the madness in there now. Okay. You know what? I'm going to leave the hole there. I need to accept the hole. The hole is a person. It's not, but still. We've got triples. We've got doubles. You see how it's going through. Doubles, triples, doubles, triples. We're almost got a quadruple now. There's another triple. And as soon as we get another quadruple, as soon as we actually get, there's a quadruple. What I can actually do is come up here and do this. Leave it external. Apply. And you'll notice there's all, right? Keep will keep one item in every inventory slot, which is how you can actually make it sure that it sorts it out nice and easily, so you'll never lose the last one of each type of item. And if you want to keep your inventory in a specific way, or if you just want to make sure you keep one of everything as an ingredient, you can switch it to keep. But I'm doing all to have it use all. And this last step, quintuple compressed, is just going to be put external, which means it's going to be shunted over here. So yes, there we go. It's a very good system. I'm really liking the Autocrafter. Now, it is using power here, as you notice. However, there's a creative power cell under there. So basically, I cheated. It's okay. So this is the Autocrafter. The crafter is really nice. There's tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. The top end speed and the amount of power that gets used goes up. Now you'll also notice something on the Wayla tooltip called Infused. 0%. I will address that. We will get back to it. Whoop, what was that? But we'll get back to it later. So here's something else that's really, really cool. I'm going to turn this on. This is going to start pumping cobblestone and topping these machines off. There we go. They are whirring along. Another infinite barrel of cobblestone. I have a bank of battery back here. There's actually a little creative cell providing power. This is the RF monitor. Let me grab one of those real quick. Now, we have these machines being supplied by power. If I right-click on these conduits, suddenly I can see all the power levels of all the things. If I wanted to, I could say filter. Sag mill. There we go. That is something I'm going to have to talk to him about. It's not properly case sensitive. Minor bug, though. So I could sort by sag mill. I could sort by conduit. Whatever I want to. I can filter as I go. Now, there's also RF per tick. This takes a minute to update. But basically, what it is doing is actually giving you an RF per tick. And if you sit here and watch it for a minute or so, it will actually start updating. But that's fine. So it's real cool. I do like this thing because you can see the power levels on all these different parts of conduit sections. Whoop, I think they ran out of cobble. I'm going to, there we go, get them all going again. So this is nice. No matter how big of a conduit section, this thing is supposed to be scanning out all the different sections of that conduit, all the stuff attached to it, to show you what has how much power level. It's real useful. Now, if you do double left click, you see, I get a machine highlighted, which means if you see a machine that's low on power, you can figure out, oh, this machine for some reason is low on power. I just double left click on it and it highlights it. This is a reoccurring function in a lot of different parts of RFTools. There's a lot of stuff that has that very simple but very useful functionality. You can use this to track down machines that are draining too much power, machines that are actually, let's say, low on power, and you want to figure out why, or machines that are running and they're not supposed to be. You can use that to track them down. It's real cool, and I like it. That's the RF monitor. And again, this is not real hard to make. Real simple recipes on this stuff. They do have cost. There's some stuff you won't be able to make until you get down to like gold, redstone, and diamonds. But that's okay. Wow. So, this comes to the RF monitor next. This thing is not real hard. And, oh, wait a minute. I need to have this turned on so I can do that. I like that. Okay. The RF monitor currently, you see this nice little indicator right here that has a certain kind of a light level to it. It's watching this ultimate energy cube from Mechanism. You see it right here. I have it highlighted. And there's a slider bar you can move that says alarm level. I have it to 75% less than, which basically means if this battery drops below 75%, it should light up this redstone lamp. What it does is the block sends out a redstone signal when conditions are met. And you'll notice, you'll see this indicator right here. Oh, there we go. That lamp just went on. So what I can actually do, I'm going to put that back there and empty the power out from it. I keep doing that. And it'll go off because I just dumped all the power from this back into it. It's back above 75%. You can do more than. Suddenly the light comes on because it's more than 75%. Or just turn it off. It's real nice. I like it. It's cool. That's empty. Gonna kill it. So that is the RF monitor. Now this is going to dovetail into something else we're going to look at later. By the way, there is a specific kind of an order I'm going through with these things. This is something that I do want to point out to you. The RFTools manual. I cannot express enough that you should make this because it gives you so many different pieces of information. General tips about interaction with other mods. The RF network item. And you see that double click on a line in the list of blocks. It'll close the window and highlight the block for 5 seconds. And you can configure that. So much of RFTools is configurable. It's real nice, and I really do like it. The different base ingredients. Logic gates, which is what we're getting to right here. These are a pair of the logic gates you actually have in this thing. The sequencer is very cool. I like this. Basically, let's clear all of this. Suddenly, the lamp goes off completely. Let's fill it. It's just going to stay on all the time. I'm going to do this. And it blinks. If I wanted to, I could. Let's clear it and just do... slow, steady blink. All sorts of stuff. I'm going to put one there, put one there, put one there, over there. And something like that. Put one there. Why not? Yeah, all sorts of really cool options for this. Now, there's also loop the cycle all the time. Ignore redstone signals. Loop the cycle all the time. Restart on a redstone signal. So every time it receives a redstone signal, it'll come back to this first square and start over, no matter where it is. Then there's loop 3. Loop the cycle when a redstone signal is present. So it will only loop when it's receiving a signal. That's very cool. There's step. Do one step in the cycle for every redstone pulse. It'll do this. Then redstone signal again, redstone signal again. Once, when a redstone signal is received, loop the cycle once. Ignore further pulses. So you give it a redstone signal, it'll go through everything, and it'll ignore redstone while going through. Then when it stops and finishes, then it will wait for a redstone signal again. Redstone signal is received, loop the cycle once, restart if a new pulse arrives. Loop the cycle all the time. See, there's all these different things you could use this for, and I'm real curious to see who's going to come up with great stuff to use with that sequencer. Then there's the timer. The timer, set a delay in ticks. 20 ticks is 1 second. So this is set to 10 seconds right now. As you can see, there's a flash right there. If I did this, 1, 1, 1, that's every second. If I'm going to, let's bump this up to 80. It's going to be 4 seconds in theory. Yep, it's about 4 seconds. Now, there's another entry in the logic gates in the book called the Ender Monitor. We're going to cycle back to that in a minute. That's more complicated. So, yeah, logic gates, and there is one more. I will show that later, though. This thing I'm actually very psyched about. This is called the storage scanner. Storage scanner, wow, there's a big whistle on that. Ender pearls, redstone torches, some gold ingots, and a machine frame. Not real hard stuff. There is a lot of use for ender pearls in this mod, by the way, so be warned. Storage scanner's cool. So basically, you can set this to a radius range. It does use power. For every time you do a scan, it does power. It uses power. And I have certain things hidden within these chests and trap chests, as you can see. Some are trapped, some are normal chests. That's just so I can put them side by side like that. Basically, I'm going to set this. Let's do a radius scan of 5. Whoop. 5 blocks out in every direction. It is going to scan, and I'm going to do scan. You'll notice you get this progress bar down here. 100%, and it's done. There we go. So now I want to find things. Somewhere in these chests I have some diamonds. And it's highlighting. Oh, there's 4 diamonds in that one. There's 16 in that one. Yeah, and you notice it even shows the battery listed under or behind. Because technically that has inventory slots. So yeah, it shows 2 chests that actually have diamonds in them. And every time I check and scan a chest, every time I look into the inventory of it, uses a tiny bit of power. Scanning uses a lot more. So yeah, and now if I wanted to, which chest is that? I don't know. It gives me coordinates, but which one is it? Double left click. There's that function again. The inventory is now highlighted. I love that. That is such a simple function. I'm going to go down to this other one. That one's got 16 diamonds in it. Somewhere, I think I have rose bushes. Arrows. Yeah, you see? A lot of things. And plus, I could just do, let's do clear the search, okay? I can look at this one, rose bushes, diamonds, nothing, 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 more diamonds. Oh, carpet. There's a whole bunch of carpet in this chest. Really great block. I can really see this as being useful for early game. You've got a little bit of power, but you want to organize your goods a little bit better, but you don't have enough resources to be able to actually do something like, say, let's say you don't have enough resources to do a full-fledged extra utilities storage system or logistics pipes or, refined relocation, whatever. You just have a whole bunch of chests and maybe enough to make one of these and a little bit of power. Well, this is really cool. You just put things in the chest and this helps you find it. It does work with iron chests from the Iron Chests mod. Iron, diamond, gold, copper, all of that stuff. I've even checked with chests from better chests. Better chests? Is that what it's called? Yeah, better chests. I have checked with chests from this. It does work. So far, it seems like it just looks and sees if there's something that's got an inventory. The storage scanner will actually work for it. It's really cool, and I really like it. So let's move on quite quickly to the item filter. Oh gosh. Let's turn that back off so we don't have as much clutter. So the item filter, okay? This has a block side. This is west, south. This is the east facing of it. Then there's, of course, up, and below is down. Well, I have a hopper that's on the down side, a hopper on the upside. I've got, what is this? This is north? Yeah. I've got item conduits pulling out of the north, and I've got logistical transporters from mechanism pushing into the east. What's going on here? Well, this is a single block junction point. You can use it to filter in or filter out. You could combine multiple sources of items into one output place, or use it as a single junction point for a lot of different conduits to come in for sorting. There's a lot of different ways you could use it. So I have stone here, and I have cobblestone here. What does this mean? Well, output, you see right here, cobblestone in this inventory slot, and this is the actual, this is a ghost image. This isn't real. If I left click on this, it'll vanish. Or right click, I forget. This is the actual inventory slot where stuff will transition through. So right here you'll see I have cobblestone set to be in on east and out on down. It's just a left click, input, output, disabled. That's it. It's real simple. So now I've got cobblestone here. I've got stone here. And I think, yeah, stone is coming in through up. Now let's pull that out real quick. Cobblestone's not going anywhere because it's not filtered to go through up. Cobblestone is filtered to go through the east side, which is back here. Cobblestone's going through there, and it's coming out over here. Stone is coming in through here, going out over here. There you go. It's real simple, and I could see a lot of flexibility with this. You could have stuff coming in from just the east side, but have different output sides for each one. There's a lot of possibility with this block. Okay, this is the power relay. The power relay is an actual block that moves power through it. Now, I am using specifically little directional arrows just to make sure, you know, power is going over here, not back over there. But anyway, this thing is a kind of a circuit breaker. It's a real simple GUI. I'm going to turn this off. Redstone signal off. How much power do you want when there's no redstone signal going through it? How much power do you want it to allow? And then redstone signal on. Now, I have it set to 12,800. That's the top-end power limits for these cables that I've got. And then 0 with no RF, which is why the lightning bolt is off right now. It's not receiving any redstone signal. There's no power going through it. This thing is empty. If I flip this on, suddenly, this is gaining power at the rate that I specified. Plus 12,800. Now, that's also the maximum for these conduits, I think. Let me see. Hang on a sec. 2480. Maybe I actually got that wrong. 2480. 20,000. 20,000 is the max for those cables. Yeah. There we go. So, I am moving power from A to B. Now, I could see this as being very helpful as a single block circuit breaker for a power grid. Option number 2 is you could have it go from high power here when there's no redstone signal to low power and use a signal from, let's say, the RF monitor. The RF monitor puts out a signal when your battery gets low, and it drops power from high to low to restrict certain parts of the network and conserve your power. I could see that as being a very useful combination of things. Now, this is where stuff gets interesting. There's multiple things here. The teleportation system. Yes, I said teleportation. But I'm actually going to cover this thing right here, the modular screens and the screen controller. Yep, there we go. Screen controller block, basically. It's a machine frame, a couple of pieces of glass, well, 3, 4 pieces of redstone, and some ender pearls. Not real hard. Basically, this thing does require, well, it actually may or may not require power. But you also make this thing called a screen. The screens are actually pretty easy. Glass, a machine base, not a machine block, and then some iron. Here we have the control panel of the screen in question. You see I've got some text modules in here. This just says status, real simple. I've spaced it over manually using spaces. That's how I centered it on screen as best I could. I have made the suggestion to McJty that he put in more alignment controls for the text to make it easier for making things to look nice, like a center, an align left, and a line right. I've made that suggestion. Hopefully he'll pick up on that. You'll also notice over here, text status, that's what it says on it, uses RF per tick, 0, okay? Clock module, this just says time on it, and then it puts the time after whatever text. Uses 1 RF per tick, okay? And then I've got a couple of modules here that are literally blank. Why do I have blank text modules? Well, those are spacers. If I take one out, you'll notice everything goes up a line. Yep. Put them back in, and they space down some. So that's how you actually do spacers. That's also the benefit of these things using 0 RF per tick. I've got one down here that just says dialing device power. And then RF readouts right down here. Now, there's also, you'll notice, there's a couple of different kinds of modules. Okay, right here you can see on the right-hand side, text modules, inventory module, right? It'll show inventory space on stuff. There's energy and then energy plus. The energy module has a range limitation of 64 blocks. Its target has to be in 64 blocks of the screen. The Energy Plus module does not. It has no limitation of distance. It'll even work across dimensions. That's why it uses 30 RF per tick as opposed to 4. Same for, there's the Dimension module, give you statistics on the dimension that you are maintaining. Clock module. Fluid module. Fluid levels of a tank. And then, that only uses 4 RF per tick, and then 30 RF per tick, Fluid Plus. It's the same as Energy Plus. This has no range limitation, and it works cross-dimensionally. Now, it should be noted, with Fluid and Fluid Plus, he is still integrating a lot of the multi-block tank structures into RFTools. They're being added, but basically because a lot of these mods don't have APIs for stuff like the Open Blocks, or the Open Blocks multi-part tank, he has to code those manually every single time. So you're going to have to be patient with him. He still is adding support for different kinds of fluid storage in Fluid and Fluid Plus. So yeah, just bear with him, and he is getting there. So that is the status screen. Now, right now, these things are not multi-part. You can't put 4 together and get a bigger screen. I have, however, pitched that idea to him. So long-term, maybe that would be something we could see. But even this right here, for different power settings on it, different power levels and power throughput is really cool. You notice this bar graph says 50,000 RF. That will go down. You'll see the bar progress. I think it goes from left to right as the power level in that storage actually goes down. So it's actually visible. It's not just a highlight of some kind. It actually animates and changes. It's real cool. I really do like the modular screens and the controller. You can set up some really slick stuff and barely use any power. Technically, right here, I don't need to use Energy Plus here because I'm monitoring stuff right here, and that's within 64 blocks. So, the teleportation system. Okay, the first thing I'm going to start off with is the dialing device. The dialing device is actually very neat. You have this is basically the origin point, transmitters, and then you have over here potential receivers, okay? So there are 2 different blocks. There's the matter transmitter and a matter receiver. They have to have power. You can also name them, and I highly encourage that you name them. There is public and private access. When private access is turned on, I can actually add permissions to these to make sure that only I can use them. So even if it's turned on, let me go to the dialing device. I'm going to select this transmitter right here, and then the same receiver over here. I have named these the same thing, and I have discovered it just makes it simpler when you have them grouped up like this. There's also coordinates and what dimension those things are in, but dial, okay? Now you get this beam that goes up to let you know this is active. Yeah, sound effects and everything. It uses power every time you transmit. The longer the distance, the more the power. And I think when you go cross-dimensionally, it uses a certain maximum amount of power. And I think that's actually very cool. I like that. This does work cross-dimensionally. Now, what I can actually do here, I'm going to go over here. This is connected to this still. I selected it. You can see it's connected and working. That ender pearl is lit up. I'm going to interrupt the connection. I can even check the status of the selected receivers if I want to make sure it is legit. That uses a little bit of power every time I do that. Now, that's what this thing is, the destination analyzer. If you notice, it uses no power. You just put it next to a dialing device, and it lets you check to make sure that a target receiver is still functional. And I actually like that little detail. It really can help you clean up your list. If somebody's turned a receiver off, then you can just check it to see why isn't it working. Maybe it's not there anymore. So, yeah, I think that's a really cool addition. It's a simple block. It uses no extra power, and just add it into the system. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do start and then end dial. Whoop. That's where we started. This is where we ended up. This is the end of Teleportation System. You notice I've got a destination analyzer. I can go over here and select any of these and check. It uses a little bit of power to do so. I think it's 5,000 RF. You can see the power storage up there. So these things are very cool, but they do use power to get around. I do like them, however. I even think the sound effect is pretty neat. So that brings us over to, let's see. I'm going to go this way first. Oh, I left a battery over there. This is the power generation system, the Endogenic Generator. Now, I'm actually going to get a bird's eye view on this so you can see what's going on. And I'm just going to let you take this in for a second. The Endogenic Generator basically uses ender pearls as a form of energy. There's this thing called a pearl injector, okay? Let's go over here. Power generation. Scientists working in the end have discovered an interesting property of ender pearls. When a pearl is thrown in some controlled manner, the mystic properties that occur on arrival can be harnessed and converted into RF power. So basically what you have to do is you get a pearl injector. And when you put an ender pearl into it, that turns that ender pearl into an endogenic pearl. And it gets passed on to this machine, the generator. This machine then throws that ender pearl in a controlled fashion. And when it is throwing that, you have to have a paired receiving endogenic generator. This one is set, you notice right here. Gain, launched pearls, lost pearls, 5 chances. Then there's these little ender monitors. Remember those from way over there? The ender monitor is detecting. And when a pearl either arrives, is lost, or is fired, it gives out a redstone signal. And then I have sequencers set in specific sequence as timers. They're basically, it's kind of like repeaters, allowing you to set a certain kind of a delay. Everything is maintained by this, which is the master pulse. It pulses once per tick on the timer. And it is basically sending a pulse out to the the pearl injector. So it will make an endogenic pearl and give it to the generator. It sends it over to the sequencer, which then makes the generator fire. Then, at the same time that this is going off, this signal is hitting this sequencer, which is giving on a slight clock delay, this endogenic generator, a pulse, to get that pearl that it just received and fire back. Now, when you set these endogenic generators up, you have to right-click them with a wrench. And you notice? There we go. They're paired. Distance 4 ticks. The amount of distance in blocks that the pearl has to actually travel, and whether it was caught and fired back or not, all factor into this thing generating power. I'm actually going to put a stack of ender pearls. Let me grab that. And you'll notice, you'll see these sparkly effects. Right? There is no physical pearl being fired back and forth. These things are firing the pearl back and forth on a kind of a separate, like a separate level. It's almost like it's an extra dimensional activity. But you'll notice this is getting RF in pulses. 2 RF per tick, and going down, it went through that whole stack. And so now we go up here, it's going to start firing pearls off again. Lost 1 pearl. Pearl arrived. So yeah, this thing, I think I actually have messed up some part of the system, but basically this whole thing was generating in excess of 1,000 RF per tick when I was using it earlier. It is not, I mean, as you can see though, this is not easy to set up. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to link a wiki page link that the creator himself gave me. I'm going to link a wiki page in the description of this video. That wiki page link has examples, this example specifically, and some of the more technical specifics on how this whole system works. I'm going to be curious to see who can make how elaborate of a system and how much power it generates. This is his example system, and it generates in excess of 1,000 RF per tick, which is real nice, I gotta say. But that is the Endogenic Generator system, and the the Ender Monitor as well. It's a real neat system, and I'm always loving to see these innovative new power systems on stuff like this. So this comes to our last. This is the shield system. Actually, not the last. We got a couple more. This is the shield system. Okay? You have a shield projector. Not real sand. But it's solid for me. Why is that? Well, this is a shield generator, basically a shield projector. You pipe power into it, and it uses a little bit of RF per tick to maintain that shield while it's on. You can set an example block for it. I'm going to set that. Set, and it changes, you notice? Yeah. If I wanted to, I could even say, let's do something silly like that. Ta-da! Now going to put my sand back. So you can see where it is easily. You have rules, okay? Hostile mobs. I've set it to pass. Hostile. Items, solid. It is solid for items, but hostile mobs can pass through it. Players, it is solid. Now, if I wanted to, I could make for me, for my name, it is specifically solid, but for other players, they would pass through it and fall to their death. Animals, it's solid. So right now, what I can actually do, I'm get a creeper egg and a pig egg. Pig's fine. Creeper falls straight through. Lots of dying. Bye, Mr. Piggy. Whee! Yep, get in there. You're destined to die. Sorry. So, this is really, really cool. Okay, so here's this structure. Feels very solid to me right now. Oh, by the way, I'm turning this on because I have this set to active on redstone signal. Oh, and also, oh, here's the cooler thing. Okay, let's go. Actually, no. I'm going to make this for mobs. Solid. See, there's damage. Solid damage. They cannot pass through it, and they get damaged. I'm going to do player. Then I'm just going to delete that one. So now I can actually get this. And you see when they get even close to it, come here. Go over there. I'm going to chase you around and hit you. Poor creeper. Sorry. So, yeah, there's a lot of options here. This could be used as base defense. It could be used to kill animals. It could be used, but it is harmless to players. There's all sorts of options here that I really like. This is an example of priorities. Okay, I've got a tower. I can jump up the side of this thing and get to the top, right? Survey my domain. But if I change the order, you see it says solid for players, everyone else is pass. If I change the order of this, suddenly it's checking. It says default for everyone is pass. So I can't get through it. Can't get to the top of the tower. It's real neat, and I really do love this. It's cool. You can... See? He just falls right through it because I'm only set rules for players. You can set... You see, if I wanted to, I have default shield texture, solid block texture, invisible. Where's the... There it is. Very, very strange. Then back to the shield blocks. I really do like these things. I think they're neat. Basically, how you make these things. I'm going to get my wrench and mess with this, okay? These are shield template blocks. They are solid. You have to have them touching. You see how I have it touching under here? You have to have them touching the shield projector. Once you get them all set up in however you want, and they are connected to the shield projector, you right-click the shield projector with a wrench, and they kick to life. Same thing here. I made this whole structure out of shield templates. The larger the structure, I'm pretty sure, the more power it uses. And there is a maximum of 256 blocks being connected to one shield projector. So if you're going to do something large, you're going to have to break it up into segments. But I do think it's very neat, and I really do like it. I could see this being used for doorways, secure doors, hidden secret doors. I could see it for being used for mob traps like this, all sorts of stuff. Okay, now let's circle back around. We had our teleportation system. Let's circle back around to, this is one of the real big kind of whammy things in this mod that I was amazed by. You can actually make dimensions. You can build dimensions. Now, this is going to be the hard part. This is going to be one of the most complicated parts of this mod. I'm going to try and explain it, but there is a second book that I highly recommend you make that's called the RFTools Dimensions Manual. It goes through everything, okay? There is the Dimensional Researcher, right? Basically, open this up. Where is the researcher? Uses RF to examine your unknown dimlets, changing them to a random known dimlet. So basically, when you're out adventuring, you're going to find dungeons and dungeon loot that will have these things called dimlets. A dimlet is a part or a feature of a dungeon. You'll notice right here, we have biomes, right? Biome, ocean, plains, frozen ocean. It will even create biomes from other biome mods like Biomes of Plenty. Then there's controller, checkerboard, controller, cold, default, single dimensions. You can have a single biome dimension, all planes, whatever you want to. Then there's like fungal forest. There's a couple other weird ones right there. Controller, filtered dimensions, magical, fields, everything that counts as mountains, dry, wet, medium, so on and so forth. Warm, forest dimension, forest. So you could really fine-tune, just like in other mods like Mistcraft say, you can fine-tune the actual biomes that you have in a dimension. Like I said, you would normally be... I think what you're supposed to be doing is making random dimensions to get started off, but really what you can actually do is you'll start finding dimlets that you actually have to research, unknown dimlets, and it turns it into a random dimlet when you get it. Now, there's also the option of, if you have a whole bunch of duplicates, what you can do is put multiple dimlets. You put 3 of them right here into the scrambler, and it will make one completely new random dimlet. There's the inscriber, which we, of course, made. We put all the parts in and put it into a template. Tab, sorry. There's the builder. It's real simple. Once you get actually a realized dimension tab, you put it in here, and it infuses that dimension with power. The thing is, some dimensions with certain specific features can require a lot of power. And if you do not maintain that power requirement, then you can basically lose access to go into that dimension. And lastly, we have the dimension editor. Now, the dimension editor is very, very specific and very unique. I'm actually going to read, it's only got 2 slots to it, you notice. And I'm going to read from the actual manual to show you guys how specific this is. It lets you edit an already created dimension. Now, that's the dangerous part. Note that inserted dimlets are lost during this process, and you pay the full power cost for it, basically. What this does, it only works with specific dimlets, anything that has special, mob, effect, sky, or time. So basically, if you had an existing dimlet, like that void dimension we made, but I didn't make it eternal day, I could use this to make it eternal day, but the effect is permanent. So I would lose that dimlet in the process, and I would actually have to get another, like a normal day, a normal time dimlet to put back in there if I wanted to resume the normal cycle in that dimension. But this does let you do it. This is also proving the point as to why this book is so useful. So here's another thing that might actually be considered. You might consider this to be very, very good. This is the actual dimension monitor. When power in a dimension goes below a certain threshold, it sends out a redstone signal. So that's going to be used in conjunction with all of this stuff. Now, I barely touched the surface on all of the stuff with the dimension manual. There's a lot of things to it. And I really do encourage you guys to read through the book and just pick it apart piece by piece. See, it covers unknown dimlets. You don't need any dimlets to create a dimension. You can just specify no dimlets and generate something totally random. To have any kind of control, you need dimlets scattered throughout the world in dungeons and other chests. You have a chance of finding unknown dimlets. That's where you have to research with the researcher, etc., etc. And if you get duplicates, you scramble them to make new ones. So, this is a great idea, and I really do love the idea that it uses, I'm running out of space, it uses power to balance being able to make these dimensions. But you got to have eternal day void dimensions to make your super sky base in. You got to have eternal night dimensions with all hills and interesting terrain that you could fight monsters in. All sorts of great stuff. Now, in these dimensions, you're going to be finding this infused dimensional shard stuff. You're going to break this. Let me get a pickaxe. Like that. Ta-da, I get a little experience and some shards. The shards you can actually put in here. You get a machine. Let's grab the screen controller. Actually, I don't think I can do that one. Dialing device, RF. Here's one I know you can actually do. Dimension builder. Let's put that in there. You put your shards in here, and they get used up. Infused 1%. So if I get a whole stack of these things, and I put them in here, it's going to infuse this machine. 6, 7, 8. Infusing bonus. Reduces power consumption and faster dimensional creation. So this machine suddenly is helping you cut your power costs for maintaining those dimensions. That's why you go find the infused ore. You can also use the infused ore on almost all of the other machines in the mod to actually lower the power costs. Imagine having cross-dimensional teleporters, but they're infused, so they barely use any power. Imagine having an auto-crafter that's barely using any power. There's all sorts of great stuff. Let's get this. That's still going, by the way. How many of those do we have? 10. Hey, that's awesome. I could get this in here. Let's get another stack. And you notice, infusing bonus reduces power consumption. Again, really, really cool. So, I think I've covered about as much as I can in this one really long episode of RFTools, and I realize I've probably skimmed over something or got something wrong. I do not claim to be an expert on these things. I don't claim to be perfect, but it really is an amazing mod. There's a lot to RFTools, and I really do encourage you guys to read up on and experiment with stuff like the dimensions. Let's go back to RFTools real quick. The dimlets, a lot of these dimlets, it says specifically on the actual tooltip. It controls the biomes that can be generated in a dimension. The controller specifies how they can be used. So this would be put before one of the controllers because it's modifying the controller. It's all in here between this book and this book. It's all at your fingertips. I'm just getting you kick-started. So I really do encourage you guys to go explore. Just mess with it. It's actually very cool. Let me see if I have... let's do... Nope. One last random... Let me do random one. ID 5. I think that's the one that I went to. Yeah. Anyway. So, Dimension 5. Go over here. Whoops. Nope. Dialing device. Interrupt. I want to check that one. And then I'm going to dial it. It takes a minute to go cross-dimensionally. Let's see what happens. Oh, gosh. Yeah, here we go. This is a random dimension. And this is the strange kind of stuff that you can end up with. It's really bizarre. You get these lattice work of these things just going really high, really low. Whoops. And it stretches off into the distance. It's black stained clay, but you get these this is the whole dimension. It's filled up with this stuff. Some of them have vines on them. You notice roofed forest for the dimension for the biome. It's real weird. Anyway, I've been having a lot of fun with this. I really do encourage you guys to do the same. Thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you on the next episode of Mod Guides. Now I got to see if I can find my way out of here. Bye-bye.